When it comes to someone being, because I've heard you mention, people being cured of diabetes that did like the rice diet and some of the diets from the past. How are you helping some people with type 2 diabetes? Let's start there.
So it's like basically that, like as soon as they start doing that sugar fasting, say if they come to me and they're like, I got type 2 diabetes, and right off the bat, I'm just like, you get them off the drugs, and you always focus on the weight loss. Like you've brought it up before, the weight loss is critical. People need to get tunnel vision on weight loss. Weight loss. So I just get them on that sugar fast. That sugar fast is perfect for everything. At the start, like even your friends that are scared, if there's buddies of yours that are scared to jump on the sugar, that's how you start this thing. That sugar fast. 72 hours minimum. I don't care how lean you are. I don't care how fat you are. Minimum. And the people with type 2 diabetes just go longer, more days in a row, and that blood sugar control will level right out. I thought I brought it up maybe on the last video we did, where I had a neighbor, a lady. She's menopausal. She's 60. She weighs like 180 pounds and should weigh like 120. Last summer, when you first got a hold of me, I did a pop fast with her just to break her fear of sugar. And she drank pop for 4 days straight. She lost 8 or 9 pounds, and she didn't take any metformin, and her blood sugars dropped through the floor. She was pulling numbers that were like in the high fours. So high fours, we're talking right around like 80, even 78. Like just crazy stuff, because as soon as you pull the fat out and the protein out, you're giving your body starts to wake up, and then you need like a dab of insulin to pound that sugar into your system. Where this is the thing, a lot of these people are like, oh, your blood insulin levels are going to be through the roof. How are your blood insulin levels going to be through the roof and your blood sugars are rock bottom? Like, it all comes back to that. And in fact, your blood insulin levels are going to be sky high duration wise, like through the day, when you're eating all the fat with the sugar, because now your body's like hammering insulin to try to get the sugar into the cell, but it has these fucking linebackers up. The fat's like these linebackers trying to fucking block it. So now your insulin, that's how you burn out your pancreas, because your body's hammering all this insulin, and the blood sugar's not dropping because the fat's in the diet. So if you just go straight sugar, like I say, you can't screw this up if you just focus on the sugar fasting days. If you're fat, the more sugar fasting days, the better. The more, and you could go 7 days, like you said, 7 days, meat day, 7 days, meat day, just for 14 days, 30 days with no meat. We're not, like, I don't promote long-term veganism, but you can yank, if you're really fat and you need to get weight off yesterday, you can just run straight sugar 2 meal a day if you're a big dude, right till you're lost like a stupid amount of weight.
I had Stan Efting on the podcast yesterday, and we talked a lot about the sugar diet. And Stan is someone that dives into a lot of the science, a lot of the literature. So he was looking up some information on some of this. But what he had to say was interesting. He was saying that your fat, your grams of fat per day could be like as low as like 30 or 40 and can be perfectly healthy. And there's a lot of research on this. Stan is a guy that he'll research stuff, and then he'll find like the absolute, expert or authority in that field, and he'll try to pull information. So he got that from a reputable source. And then same thing with the protein. He would say just, multiply your body weight, I guess, in pounds. So in kilos might be different, but it was like, I think it was down to like 0.3 or 0.2 times your body weight, which is not a lot. So like, half your body weight in protein for some people that are scared is if you're lean, I guess that wouldn't be a bad place to start, but you need to even bring it down quite a bit lower. I'm finding for myself, the lower that I bring it down, the better. I did have a guy on my YouTube channel that he wrote in and said he's been doing something like this for years. He's been working with people. He's a physician, and he said he found a sweet spot of around 60 grams of protein for most people. So there's a lot of different ways you could do this. You could do it the way you're talking about, Cole, where it sounds like you're talking about almost looking at the weekly, grams and calories rather than just the daily. Because if I look at the amount of protein per week, I could say, okay, well, for myself, I don't really want to budge too much on the protein. Let's just say hypothetically, and I say I want 500 grams of protein a week, and I can take my time and I can lose the weight slower if I choose to. And even for the people that have 50, 60, 70 pounds to lose, you can kind of manage this diet whatever way you'd like. If you want to have like your original diet plan that you laid out, it was like you could have a little bit of meat at the end of every day. And if that suits you, then that's fine. But you might find that the weight loss might be a little slower.
Correct. And like you say, you look at it on a weekly basis is perfect because, and that's how you can get away with more of those loose days, because trying to just go really low fat 7 days a week could, like, when we're talking from a sustainability standpoint, you know, when you could have a dirty meal, like we said, you could actually go out for dinner. And let's talk, even, let's just make a number up. Let's say you're trying to hit low fat on the week. And let's say you're trying to go under 20 grams a day. So that's 140 grams on the week. Imagine having like no fat on like 3 of the days, and then having a more, maybe even some salmon or some, a little bit of some meat that's not the chicken breast. The adherence is way better. So as soon as you break that fear of having zero protein and zero fat days, you can make it so much more sustainable. Like, you know, you just, that's the whole thing. I don't think our bodies evolved at all. We never needed protein every day. There's no way. It doesn't make any sense. In fact, there's people in some of these poor countries that don't get meat every day at all. Right. So, and then like even last Sunday, so the last time I ate meat was last Sunday. And I'm not going to lie to you, I put it back. Like that day I ate like 6 chicken thighs and 6 drumsticks. You know, it was a lot of protein. And then I just went the last like 3. So this is day 4 on no meat. And I'm probably going to have chicken and maybe even some steak tonight. And I just keep doing that, and I just keep watching the scale. But once you're at your goal, and the fatter you are, you can just have less of those days. You know, and it is on the week, like you say. And that's how you make it so sustainable, but you just have to beat the fear of having full days with no fat or protein. But like you said, even if you get closer to your goal, some of those days you go like, you know, fruit for breakfast, fruit for lunch, lean meat and vegetables at night or whatever. But once even that, the sustainability is not going to be like this. Like even yourself, if you had like 3 days a week on straight sugar, and you got to remember those sugar days aren't like 0 calorie. You're eating like a pile of carb, right? So it makes it so simple because now you don't have to worry about being so clean so many days. You know,
Like
it makes it
3,000 calories or something of fruit, probably for me.
easy. A guy your size with all the cardio, shit. And then I believe that is what's going to crank the metabolism up even higher. And then even going to bed on just the vegetables and lean meat, like doing that routine you brought up, it's not going to be as good as smashing in some fructose at night. Fructose murders your hunger. Like your liver is really what dictates hunger. When your liver glycogen drops through the floors when you start getting hungry. So if you can give yourself some fructose, the hunger will be gone. I could do this for days. Like honestly, I could keep eating the way I'm eating with no protein, no fat until I was probably grossly underweight. There's
You and
no,
I,
what's that?
you and I are both very active, and so people might and during rider, right? So it's like all these guys are already ripped. You've been single digit body fat before. You're single digit body fat again. I think when you started the diet, you were probably already in great shape. Same thing could be said for myself. Then people like to, you know, throw the thing at me that I use performance enhancing drugs, which is fine. I do. I know Durian Ryder does, but you're natural. Is it important for people to be like super active? Do people need to be a fucking bodybuilder or cyclist or endurance athlete to be able to handle these carbs?
So that's a good point because for the last 9 years, my main goal has been to like find the most adhering way of eating that's going to downsize all these fat pigs, right? Like that's really my goal. So you always have to find something. Okay, this person's completely crippled or they're bedridden. They're so fat. The fattest person lying in bed, if they're drinking juice and eating wet fruit, they are going to get skinny with no exercise. None. And that comes up all the time. Absolutely none. Because they're never going to out eat like high water content fruit, vegetables, and juice. They're just not going to. And they're going to feel like they're eating in pure abundance. And the metabolism's going to get ramped up laying there, like laying there. You know, so that's the beauty of it. And as long as the super fat people, as long as they're sticking to mainly fruit and juice, they're going to lose. You're just going to keep cutting weight, right? So that's answers that question. Like you don't got to do nothing. You could sit. I don't even have to do anything on those fruit days. Like if I just ate normal and didn't even force any calories in, I'd probably end up eating like 2,500 calories on fruit. And if I didn't do shit, I'd still be losing weight. Like you just can't keep weight on. The metabolism is just too hot. You know, you
I know
don't have to do.
I know that you do a lot of consults for people, so people make sure you guys hit up Cole for a consult if you have, especially like a circumstance, you know, that needs like closer attention. But for type 1 diabetics, my understanding is they don't produce insulin at all, and they usually need a shot of insulin. Have you been able to help people with type 1 diabetes as well?
It's the same thing because most type 1 diabetics, like a lot of them eat like shit, and they're taking so much slow acting insulin because they're really compensating. Sometimes the type 1's got the worst diet because they're compensating with for a really bad diet with a pile of insulin. So they're insulin resistant the same as anybody else. They're not producing insulin, but they're insulin resistant, so it's the same diet. If they want to bring their insulin way down, their insulin needs way down, they got to wake their body up with the sugar. It's exactly the same thing. So I used to use a bunch of low carb dieting in the past with those people, but the problem was it wasn't fixing the issue. It wasn't fixing the issue, just band-aid it. Just like all these people on zero carb, they have the sugars come down, but their glucose tolerance is dog shit. They can't tolerate any sugar. So as soon as you put like the type 1s, it's the same diet. You cut the fat right out, they can do exact same thing. And then some of them, you don't want to get down a real rabbit hole of type 1 diabetics. A lot of them that weren't, if you're not born with it, if it comes out like later in life, it's usually a crazy stressor that caused it. And what happens, you develop the autoimmune issue, you end up not producing enough insulin, your diet's still dog shit. Then what happens is your blood sugars get elevated, and the problem, you might have somebody die in your family or whatever, bad sickness. It might take a year or 2 years, and then all of a sudden it's stress related when you get these people becoming type 1s down the road. There's always a story. I've talked to a million of them. And what'll happen is their blood sugars will get ramped up. They won't be checking nothing yet, right? And their blood sugars will go way up, and then they'll end up in the hospital dehydrated because they're pissing like a racehorse. Because the body will the last line of defense for a high blood sugar is you're gonna piss like a racehorse. So they'll be pissing like a racehorse. They'll get dehydrated. They'll end up in the hospital. They'll show a bunch of ketones. The doctors will put them on insulin right there, and that's it. I've reversed type 1 diabetes a lot if they got a hold of me right away, right when they got diagnosed, because all they needed to do is fix that diet, and they were still producing insulin. They were still, and you can test it even with you can test it with a right away, because if you're pulling the fat out, you can see if their blood sugars are controlling a little bit, and that's the problem with the type 1s. A lot of them should never have even become a type 1. We're actually creating type 1 diabetics. The medical system's creating type 1 diabetics daily with bad dieting advice and just throwing them on insulin because they developed an autoimmune problem from some sort of crazy life stressor. Maybe it could have been a lot of times. I've even traced it back to where two parents got a divorce and the kid developed it when they were 7 fucking years old. And they weren't the only people that really should be type 1 if you're absolutely born with it and you aren't producing insulin right out of the gate, usually. And other than that, if you caught it right away, you can actually fix the problem.
It's amazing. And how does it working for, you were mentioning menopause and stuff like that too, right?
Oh man, it's nuts. So these menopause, so that's when I knew. I'm like, this is it. Because all I gotta tell these menopausal women, all I gotta tell them, okay, do that sugar fast. Let's go as long as we can. Okay, we'll rev your metabolism back up. They start losing their gut like immediately, and they get out of that sugar phobia, and then their energy comes back. I get them off all the stims, and they're on the most meds. Like that demographic is the worst for can't get weight off on crazy amounts of meds, antidepressants, ADHD, all this shit you can just fix with sugar. Like we're talking about drug addiction. This is how you beat drug addiction. You have that sugar bomb at breakfast. You can get off because it's always an energy problem why these people are jumping on all these stimulants. But the menopausal women, I can take any menopausal women. It wouldn't matter if they're 50, 60, 70 years old, and I'll get them skinny as a rail. I have that much confidence in doing the full sugar days, and then you get their metabolism ramped up like when they were in grade 6. Like, I'm not even kidding you. Some of these women, you know what I ask them when they get a hold of me for a phone consult? If they're like 50, 60 years old, all of them, even 30-year-old women and shit that are fat. I'll be like, how much did you weigh, assuming they had a prime? Because a lot of women nowadays, they're fat right from childhood up. They don't even have an actual prime where they were slim, let's say in high school. But some of the older ladies still grew up like back in the day where they were skinny in high school. So I'm like, how much did you weigh in grade 10? And they're like, 115 pounds. I'm like, that's our fucking goal weight. You know, they're setting shitty goals even. They're like 180 and they're like, I want to get to 160. I'm like, are you fucking serious? You're like 5'4". You know, you should be like 120, like 115. Like you can get them to a number. They don't even know. People are setting really weak goals with their weight loss, to be honest with you. They have no fucking idea how small they can get.
I think that's yeah, it's like a part of the fat acceptance, you know, of like, oh, you don't really need to lose that much. You only need to lose like 20 pounds and just be a little healthier. And some of the research does point to like, yeah, if you do lose 10%, 15%, but the higher the percentage of body weight that you lose, the healthier that you get. And so I think a lot of people don't really realize that. It's like, yeah, you do get some health benefits from 10%, but you get more from 20%.
That's one of the biggest. You saying that is one of the biggest things you could say with health. Like, weight loss is health. These fucking people that are like, oh, weight loss and getting lean ain't everything. You fat fucking pig. Like, that just drives me to the wall. And that's why I busted zero carb carnivores so bad, because they're all in fucking Stall City. Some of them have gotten some results, but it wasn't because of the fucking diet. They just lost some weight. And now they're stalled out. And then they're still fat, and now they're pulling these crazy bad blood markers. They got no fucking energy. And a lot of them, they had decent metabolic momentum going into the diet. So they got some weight loss, and now they've been stalled for like 2 years, some of them. You know? And if they just, a lot of them could have got that result counting calories and fucking just cutting at McDonald's. Like, let's get real. Like, this will take you to the end. Like, I've always been shooting for that goal. How can I get people skinny with 100% maintenance? Like, 100% adherence, no rebound. Like, weight loss, not gaining weight back is more important than the weight loss. It's more, because a lot of these people be like, I lost this much weight on fasting, 0 calorie or on 0 carb. And then they're like, I lost this last year. And I'm like, what do you weigh now? And they're like, oh, I'm the same fucking weight as when I started. Well, fuck, it didn't do shit. That's the problem. People are in fucking denial in that whole carnivore community. Now, it just took a few years for the results to really show up. How fucking much, especially the menopausal women, just fucks them right up. Their thyroid function's fucked. And all it's turning into a fat acceptance movement itself. Because nobody even wants to talk about the weight loss results. You even read some of the comments on these channels, and it's all like they're all cooking channels. No one's talking about the weight loss, which is why they showed up in the first place to try to lose weight, but they're in denial because it's, you get into that politics side of shit and you're not actually chasing fucking results.